Good morning, everyone. We're going to start out this morning first with our special board meeting for termination of an employee. I want to first approval of the agenda. There was some agenda minutes that we added in specific to the case to after publishing. So if we can get a motion on the agenda, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get who so moved that? Sure. And we don't have Granicus up, so if we all just want to go ahead and verbally vote on the approval of the agenda by signaling aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Moving to public. No. So moving on to the new business, or the only item on this special meeting, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. DiAgostino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But the matter before you today for consideration is the recommended order in Manatee County School Board versus Lakia Early, case number 23-3998 by Administrative Law Judge Quimby Pennock, recommending the termination of Lakia Early. And before we proceed, Mr. Chair, I'd ask you to inquire as to whether Ms. Early or any representative on her behalf is present today to participate in the proceedings.
Is Ms. Early here or any representative on her behalf today? Don't see anyone saying yes, so.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask that the record reflect that Ms. Early is not present. So by way of background, there are some procedural things we should go through, just so the court's aware. An investigation relative to Ms. Early was opened in August of 2023 and ultimately submitted to the Discipline Review Committee, who in September of 2023 recommended that she be terminated. That recommendation was first sent to the superintendent, who approved the recommendation of termination, and then Ms. Early was served with an administrative complaint on September 28, 2023, and placed on administrative leave with pay pursuant to that. Ms. Early requested an evidentiary hearing disputing the acts of misconduct, and this board on October 10, 2023, approved placing Ms. Early on unpaid administrative leave pending resolution of a hearing on the merits. A hearing on the merits was conducted before an administrative law judge on December 18, 2023. Evidence and testimony at that hearing was presented, and on February 1, 2024, the administrative law judge issued a recommended order, which is attached to the agenda today and part of the record, recommending that the School Board of Manatee County enter a final order upholding Ms. Early's termination of employment. Neither party filed any exceptions to that recommended order. All the procedural requirements have been met, and that Ms. Early and her representative were provided notice of today's meeting, Ms. Early by both mail and email, and her representative by email, and those notices are attached to the agenda and are part of the record of today's proceedings. The board has also been provided the entire record of the proceedings in this matter, and that they are attached to the agenda item today, including the notice of recommendation for termination, the administrative complaint, the request for an administrative hearing, the entire transcript of the proceeding, and the exhibits which were entered into evidence, the proposed recommended order, the recommended order from the administrative law judge who presided over the matter. So today, the board must consider the administrative law judge's recommended order and enter a final order. Procedurally, if Ms. Early were here, both sides should be given an equal opportunity to be heard. 15 minutes is the recommended amount of time. Since Ms. Early is not here, I am comfortable resting on the record that's presented before the board today, rather than going through the facts of misconduct that are alleged. The board should consider that entire record, deliberate, and then vote on the order. The board has two specific options. You can either adopt the recommended order in its entirety as its final order, or you may, if you choose to do so, reject or modify the conclusions of law, or reject the findings of fact made by the administrative law judge. If the board does decide to reject either the conclusions of law or the findings of fact, there must be specific findings made by the board as to what conclusions law are rejected, and that those conclusions are reasonable, as reasonable or more reasonable than those that you are rejecting. Does the board have any questions as to how to proceed? Then I'll turn it over to you to deliberate the matter.
Hollis, thank you very much. Superintendent, do you want to add anything to that? I mean,
We do need the superintendent to make his official
Yeah,
recommendation.
yeah.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Good morning, Chair Choate, board members. I recommend approval of the recommended order in Manatee County School Board v. Lakia Early, case number 23-3998 by Administrative Law Judge Quimby Pennick, recommending the termination of Lakia Early and adoption of a final order adopting the recommended order as the board's final order.
So moved.
We have a motion for Ms. Spray
I'll second.
and a second for Ms. Messenger. Board, any discussion on this?
No.
I don't believe we have anybody that wants to discuss it, so let's go ahead and vote. Again, we don't have Granicus up, so we'll just do it verbally, signifying with aye if you approve. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
That concludes our special business item meeting, so I'm going to go ahead and adjourn us, and we're going to need to recess for about 5 minutes to let MSTV switch over to the workshop portion, and then we'll get going at 9:15.